What is up, y'all? How the hell do I turn off? How do I turn off the? Here we go. Key blast. Toggle lock on. Okay. Oh, so I just hold X. Yo, chill. Yo, chill. The hell, bro? Now, where you at, bro? I can't even M1 or anything. Why is it E? What the hell? It's so weird. Okay. Yeah, so X. Okay. C is charge. I know what those do. And then this is okay. I want to know where you get this stuff. So I'm gonna just fly around for a bit and see if I can find anything. Oh, you don't even have to hold it. Alright, that's good. So I'm gonna just look for NPCs, to be honest. So, oh, F. Round bandana, please. Okay. Okay. Is there any more? Oh, yeah, there's this guy over here. Would you like to see the daily shop? Wait, what? Yo, what the hell? But how do you get Zenny, though? Like, how? That's what I want to know. What's up? Bye? Oh, okay. Well, let me just... Okay, so there's no shift lock. I wonder, is there, like, quests? Oh, wait, there's something there. Who's that? Oh, yeah, that's just some random other dude. But that guy's powerful. He has Ultra Instinct. I remember. Alright, hold on. Let me search it up. Alright, so it's just you fighting people. So, I think what I'm gonna do. It's one of these old things. Alright, so. Oh, wait. Okay, here we go. Would you like to learn the skill perfect slash? Yeah, see, like that. Like that. I'm not seeing anything, though. Okay, that's just some guy. I already talked to that guy over there. No. I'm pretty sure there's a quest somewhere nearby, right? I know there's quests. I know that. But I just don't know, I don't know where, like, you accept the quest. Okay, so we're here. I think it's on top of one of these rocks or something. What's this? Got you, bro. 30k XP. It's like, you get 10k stats. Dead. Oops. Okay, look there. Okay, now you're dead. I'm so confused. How do I... Hold on.
Your opposite guy here. Yeah, good people. Yeah, and whatnot. But yeah, it's the same part. We do this. Oh, good luck, fight for it.
Alright, so there's also other new codes. Too many bugs. This is supposedly a code. I don't think it's true though. Yeah. Yeah. So and then 2 mil phase. 2 mil. Yeah, I don't know. Uh-huh. Oh, buffed energy. Buffed Zenkai boost X EXP gain. Add a group. Ooh. Okay, fusion. Oh, okay. Damn. Okay. Voice line settings. Ah, he made that shit. Hold on, let me. What? There's a voice line now? I did not know that. Wait. So let me go to like Super Saiyan 1. There has to be like. Really? There's not? That's crazy. I thought there would be. Alright, let me keep looking. Here we go. Yeah, I'm not gonna fight Beast. Farmer Instinct? What the hell was that? Yeah. That'd be funny. Where's Carl the Farmer Instinct? Oh, he spawns somewhere here, actually. I just can't see him, though. Where does he spawn? Oh, is that him? Is this you? Go! My man. Oh, I killed him. I killed him. Spawn time 10 seconds. Well, alright. Let me lock in for real. Let me actually go to some worlds. Alright, so I think I already maxed out the. Yep, I already maxed out that. I'm on 10 right. I'm on 9 right now. What am I gonna unlock in a little? Frost. Flame. Okay, it doesn't matter. It's just different variations of it, I guess. Did they rework this? Oh, they did not. Okay. Super Saiyan 6, Berserk, Demon. There's Super Saiyan 3, Super Saiyan Rose 2, Legendary Super Saiyan 4, Ultra Instinct, Pressure, Mastered Ultra Instinct, Ultra Ego, Angel, Orange Namekian. Wow. Okay, so the highest one, like by default, would be Angel. Okay. Oh yeah, now it's at 0.5 anymore. It's just times 1. Okay, so I need to upgrade my defense. So do that.
We went to a Thanksgiving themed. One day, this guy's lurking around on the internet, and he's looking for an astrologer to give him a reading. I guess he's into that kind of stuff. Finally, he runs across one, and he sees her, and he's like, damn, she's kind of fine. I'd like to get a reading from her. So he reaches out to her, and he tries to book a session. But unfortunately for him, this astrologer only books sessions with women. Because I guess when she books sessions with men, they always try and creep on her. But this guy, he's not going to give up. He really wants this woman's attention. So he gets a female friend of his to book a session with her. And that female friend books a session, meets up with the astrologer, and she's like, look, I'll be honest, I'm really only here because my friend asked me to come. He's a really good guy. He really wants to get to know you. And so the astrologer's like, ugh, fine, okay, I'll meet your friend. And so finally, they meet up in person. Now the guy, his name is Bishopine, but we're just going to call him Bish. And the astrologer, her name's Sultanat. And so Bish and Sultanat meet, and they actually hit it off. And she ends up kind of liking him. And eventually, they start dating. And within months of meeting, the two decide to get married. And so far, everything seems to be going great. Until, here's the thing. All of this is taking place in Kazakhstan. And in
Well, come
Kazakhstan,
on.
Bish ain't no regular dude. He's actually kind of a big deal there. He's worked in several high-level government positions. He was the Minister of National Economy, so basically he was in charge of Kazakhstan's economy. But then he got convicted for taking bribes and sentenced to 10 years in prison. But I guess he was friends with the president of Kazakhstan at the time, so after 2.5 years in prison, the president pardons him and he gets out. My point is, Bish is a very well-connected guy. He's also a very controlling guy. So anyway, Bish and Sultanat get married, and almost immediately, his controlling side starts to come out. Like, he's super jealous, he makes her quit her astrology fortune teller job she loves, and he forbids her from working any other jobs. He starts isolating her from her friends and family, and to make it worse, Bish also starts getting physically abusive with her. Like, he gets violent, often and a lot. And her family knows, and her friends know, and Sultanat sometimes even sends her brother photos of all the bruises Bish puts on her, and she tells him that Bish is responsible. And if you're wondering, okay, so everyone knows he's beating her up, why doesn't anyone report him to the police? Well, just keep in mind that domestic violence in Kazakhstan at this time is not only viewed very differently than other places in the world, but minor domestic violence is decriminalized here. So, smacking your wife around? Not a crime. Not to mention, Bish is a well-connected guy, and in theory, if she tries to get him in trouble, he could make things difficult for her and her family. So, unfortunately, she's kind of stuck. And at this point, they've been married less than a year, and things just keep getting worse. And one night, it all goes downhill. So they're out at this restaurant that his family owns, and no one else is there. It's just them and I think some of the staff, because the place I think is closed at this time. And so Bish and Sultanat, they start to fight. Like, he's been fighting with her all day, allegedly. And you can see them here on security footage. And so
Wait, can you really go? Oh my god. So it's not just this place, it's a whole different world. Like, world. That's cool. I did not know that.
well, I guess he's mad because he's convinced that she slept with this other guy who she actually didn't sleep with. But if she had, it would have been before she and Bish had even met. So, like, I don't know. It was some insecure husband he's mad about. The dude is a psychopath. Now, at some point during all this fighting, suddenly he starts hitting her and punching her in the face and grabbing her by the hair. And she eventually escapes and she tries to hide in a restroom stall, but then boom, Bish breaks down the stall door and he drags her back out and he just keeps punching her and kicking her. And eventually Bish drags Sultanat by the hair into a VIP room. That VIP room is private, so there are no security cameras in there. Now, there are security cameras in other parts of this restaurant, so this whole beating before the VIP room is caught on camera, which I obviously can't show you the full footage, and trust me, you don't want to see it. It's really brutal. So anyway, then he grabs her, and he drags her into the VIP room, and while they're in that room, he continues beating her, and he eventually hits her in the head with some blunt object, we still don't know what. Oh, and it gets even more sinister than that. He's been beating her for hours at this point, and this whole time he's using his phone and recording little videos of her. I guess he's trying to humiliate her. He actually records 12 of these videos of himself beating her. And so Sultanat is lying there and she's wounded and she's not really responding, and Bish, he just leaves her there in that VIP room for hours. And during this time, like, so much time has passed, it's morning now. And the restaurant opens back up, I guess. And Bish, he's still there. He still hasn't called an ambulance or anything. In fact, he's seen having lunch with another woman, like a vegan influencer that he knows. Like, it's no big deal. Like, his wife isn't secretly in the next room dying. Also, while Sultanat is in the next room dying, Bish calls a psychic he knows. Because, like I said, he's into that kind of stuff. And I guess he's like, hey, my wife's hurt real bad. Is she going to be okay? And the psychic is like, yeah, bro, don't sweat it. She'll be fine. Spoiler alert, she won't be fine. In fact, Sultanat doesn't get any medical attention and she dies right there in the VIP room of the restaurant where he left her. Now, at this point, Bish doesn't know that she's unalive. He just knows that she's seriously injured and that this whole scene looks pretty bad for him. So, what does he do? He gets a relative who works at the food court where the restaurant is, and together they send all the staff home so that there are no witnesses sniffing around, and they try to destroy all the security footage of Bish beating her up. And then, finally, 12 hours after he first attacked her, Bish calls an ambulance. But, unfortunately, by the time paramedics get there, Sultanat has long been unalive. In fact, at that point, they say she had already been dead anywhere from 6 to 8 hours. And so, bam, police arrest Bish, and they charge him with torturing and murdering his wife. 4 months later, his trial starts, and it's live streamed for the whole world to see. And this is the first time in Kazakhstan's history that they've publicly live streamed a trial. And so everyone in the country is watching it. This is like the OJ trial for Kazakhstan. Apparently 19 million people live stream it. People in the country, people outside the country. It's wild. Now, at the trial, he and his defense team, they try to argue that Sultanat was crazy, that she was a drunk, that she was violent, that she was a gold digger, that she was cheating on him, and that she provoked him. And he also says, yeah, that he did beat her up, but that they're married. And beating up your wife isn't a criminal offense in Kazakhstan. So, therefore, he doesn't deserve prison. Bish, please, However, the prosecution is able to show the jury and everyone watching at home the security footage from the restaurant that was supposed to have been destroyed. And like I said, that footage is brutal. Allegedly, watching the footage made the jury cry. Not to mention, the jury is shown all 12 of those videos that Bish himself recorded on his phone while he was beating her. And so, if you've ever used a dating app, you've probably had some bad experiences. And you might have wondered, has anyone ever been murdered off of one of these things? Well, let me show you. So this guy, his name's Ethan, and he's a goofy, fun-loving guy. He works at a concrete company, and his customers love him, his co-workers love him. Ethan's life is good. And Ethan is also married. And one day, he and his wife, they aren't seeing eye to eye. And so they're arguing all the time, and this is stressing him out, and it's really affecting his mental health. And he's anxious, and he's distracted, and his wife is worried about him. And she suggests that he get some help. But he doesn't, so nothing changes. And unfortunately, they end up separating. And Ethan is devastated about this. How could she leave him? And pretty quickly, he gets really depressed. And soon enough, everyone starts to notice. His friends and his coworkers, they barely recognize him. Like, he used to be so much fun to work with, and now he's just kind of a bummer. And not only that, he starts to think really dark, violent thoughts, specifically thoughts about hurting women. And to make it worse, he starts to talk about those thoughts out loud at work. And as you can imagine, it's pretty uncomfortable for everyone around him. People are like, yo, you need to chill, bro. And I don't know exactly what happens, but eventually there's an altercation between Ethan and one of his female coworkers, and Ethan ends up getting fired. And this pisses him off even more. And little by little, he isolates himself from his family, from his friends, and it's lonely as fuck for him. And so one day, he's on Instagram, and he comes across this woman he used to work with back when he was a teenager. Her name's Autumn. And Ethan always thought Autumn was fine. So he slides into her DMs, and they start chatting. And pretty soon, he's like, so, you want to hang tomorrow? And she's like, sorry, I already have plans. And a few days later, he tries again. Like, want to hang? And again, she's like, no, I have plans, bro. Here's the thing. Autumn is really not into him. She's just trying to let him down easy. But Ethan doesn't really get the hint. Maybe he thinks she's playing hard to get. I don't know. But he keeps texting her, and all it's doing is freaking Autumn out. And eventually, she just ghosts him, stops answering. I actually have screenshots of his text. Hey, are you doing anything tomorrow night? 2 weeks later, hey, what's up? 2 months later, hey, how are you? And she never answers. So I imagine Ethan is frustrated with the women in his life, and women in general. And bro just snaps. He's finally had enough. Someone needs to pay for all this rejection he's going through. So he opens his phone, he taps on the Tinder app, and he starts swiping, looking for a girl. Any girl. And soon, boom, he gets a match with this woman. Her name's Ashlyn. Ashlyn's 25, and she works with kids with special needs. She's a really good person. So Ashlyn and Ethan, they start chatting, and they hit it off, and they decide to meet up. The next night, they finally meet. Ethan drives to her house, he picks her up, and they go out to a local bar. And he's polite, he's nice to her, and they're there for about 4 hours drinking and hanging out. And Ashlyn, she's kind of feeling him. He's kind of feeling her. So he invites her back to his place to chill. She's like, all right. So they go back to his place, and they watch a movie, and they end up smashing.
Alright,
And
bro.
eventually, they fall asleep. And it seems like this date is going pretty well. And maybe now Ethan understands that not all women are out to hurt him. Until around 3 a.m., Ethan wakes up, and he sees Ashlyn next to him. And he watches her sleep for a moment peacefully, and that is when he snaps. Suddenly, he wraps his hand around her throat, and he squeezes as hard as he can. And she wakes up, and he's choking her, and she fights back, and she hits him, but he's just too strong. He won't let go. Then, he does finally let go. And suddenly, he runs into the kitchen, and as Ashlyn struggles to catch her breath, he comes back with a pen, and he starts stabbing her over and over again, like 10 times. And as she lays there, injured, dying, he Ethan calls 911. And he's like, I just unalived someone and I want to unalive myself. And the 911 operator's like, oh shit. And she immediately dispatches police. Minutes later, police arrive at Ethan's house. And they find Ashlyn, and as you can guess, unfortunately, doesn't make it. And when police ask Ethan what he did, he's like, we were on a Tinder date and we came back to watch a movie and then I woke up and I unalived her. Police are like, you attacked her completely unprovoked? And Ethan's like, yeah. And so, bam, they arrest him. Here's his mugshot. And he's charged with first-degree murder, and ultimately he ends up pleading guilty, and he's sentenced to a minimum of 15 years. Imagine you're on a flight, and it's in the air, and a pilot in the cockpit suddenly decides, I'm going to crash this plane. And this would unalive you and everyone else on it. Now, the pilot, his name's Joe. And Joe, he's a commercial airline pilot. He's been doing it a while, and he likes this job. But one day, boom, Joe gets hit with some terrible news. His best friend, Scott, just suddenly passed away from a heart problem. And Joe is devastated. Like, this is his best friend, and he's never lost somebody close to him. And he takes this really hard. And pretty quickly, he starts getting depressed. And he starts drinking heavily to deal with it. And as the years go by, his depression only gets worse, especially around the yearly anniversary of Scott's passing. And eventually, Joe's wife is like, you're not doing well. I think you should talk to a professional. So he does. He goes to see a therapist. And therapist tells him to consider seeing a psychiatrist and getting on antidepressants. Here's the thing, though. Apparently, if a commercial pilot goes on antidepressants, the airline will no longer allow them to fly, and he would have to jump through a lot of bureaucratic hoops to keep his job. I guess it's their policy. So Joe's like, nah, bro, and he doesn't take any meds. He doesn't want to lose his job. Instead, he just keeps working all the time and self-medicating with alcohol. And almost 6 years have passed since Joe lost his best friend, and he's still feeling it. And at one point, he flies to Washington State to be with his other friends. I guess they're gonna have a memorial for Scott. And during this memorial, in remembrance of Scott, Joe and his friends, they do a lot of partying. Like, a lot of partying. And the group decides they're gonna do what we'll call medicinal mushrooms. Joe's never done this before, but he's like, alright. So he takes these mushrooms, and he starts feeling pretty good. And he stays up all night. He's having a lot of fun. And a few days later, it's time for him to leave Washington and go back home. And allegedly, he's been going hard. Like, he hasn't slept in like 40 hours or something like that. And he goes to the airport, and he gets on a plane. He's ready to fly out of it. But he's still allegedly kind of tripping from the mushrooms from a few days before. Like, they're still in his system or something. Now, he's not on duty, but because he's a pilot, he's going to ride free in the cockpit jump seat. It's where off-duty pilots sit when they take a flight when they're not piloting. And as the plane takes off and it's in the air, Joe starts to get a really bad feeling. Feeling like he's trapped in this airplane and he'll never be able to get out. And suddenly, bam, a bad trip hits him like a freight train. And Joe feels like he's stuck in a nightmare. Like none of what he's experiencing is reality. Like the pilots flying the plane aren't really pilots. And he doesn't know what to do. And he believes the only way out of this is to make himself wake up. And that is when he looks up to the ceiling of the plane and he sees 2 red handles. Those red handles are fire extinguisher handles. They're also designed to shut down the engines of the plane in an emergency. And Joe decides that in order to wake himself up, he needs to pull the levers and crash the aircraft. So he stands up and he reaches out and he pulls both of those handles. And the 2 pilots in the cockpit, they see this and they're like, what the f-? And they immediately jump up and grab Joe and they pull him away. And one of them quickly pushes the handles back in again, and this restores the fuel flow to the engines, so the engines are working properly again. Close call. And I guess the human touch brings Joe back into his body. And so he stands up and he leaves the cockpit and he walks to the back of the plane and he sits in a flight attendant's jump seat, and he tells the flight attendant to handcuff him because this is going to get really bad. And so the flight attendants restrain his hands with flex cuff, which is like zip ties. And he's sitting there in the jump seat, and I guess he's still like, I gotta wake up from this bad dream. And he grabs a whole ass pot of coffee near him, and he starts drinking straight out of it. And the poor flight attendants, they're trying to calm him down, and they have no idea he was just in the cockpit trying to crash the plane. But then he reaches over toward the emergency exit. He wants to get it open so that he can jump out. Because he's like, jumping out will certainly wake me up. And luckily, the crew stops him by gently removing his hands from the door and distracting him with a bit of conversation. Now, at this point, the pilots have diverted the flight to Portland. They're like, we gotta get this guy the hell off this plane. And they land, and police officers come on board, and they escort Joe off the plane. This is actually some footage of that. There he is. And so, bam, Joe's arrested. And I don't have a mugshot, but here is a photo of him taken. And he's charged with 83 counts of attempted murder and reckless endangerment, and his pilot's license is suspended, and he gets out on bail, and he's apparently clean now, so no more mushrooms before traveling. And just because someone is religious doesn't mean they're a good person, or even a sane person. Here's an example. So this guy, his name is List, and List has a lot going for him. He has a good marriage, he has 3 kids, he lives in this huge 19-room mansion. I mean, look at that place. Plus, he's got a sweet job as vice president for a bank, so Crow is doing well. But most importantly, he's very religious. And he and his family go to church every week, so you know he's a good person. But one day, everything changes, because boom, List suddenly gets laid off from his vice president job at the bank. And List, he doesn't know what to do. He can't tell anyone that he lost his good-paying job. That would be humiliating. So he decides to not tell anyone. He doesn't tell his family, he doesn't tell his friends. Instead, he just keeps going. He wakes up every day, he gets dressed like he always does, and he tells his family that he's going to work. But instead, he drives to the train station and he just sits in his car and reads the newspaper until it's time to head home, so that his family thinks he's going to work and they don't ask him any questions. And List does this for a few months. He just fakes going to work. I guess he's hoping that during this period he'll find another gig to keep him afloat. I don't know, it doesn't seem like a very good plan. Also, because he's not working, he obviously has no income coming in, and his bills start stacking up. Particularly his mortgage for that 19-room mansion he and his family are living in. So, after months of not working, he owes $11,000 on his mortgage. And this was 1971, so today's dollars, he owes about 87 grand. That's a lot of money. So naturally, List starts freaking out. What's he gonna do? Are he and his family gonna go bankrupt? Is he gonna have to go on welfare? Remember, he's still very religious. So List starts worrying that he's gonna lose everything and that his family. So this is Haley, aka Hawk Tuah. And as of now, a lot of people want Haley to be thrown in jail. Here's what happened. So one morning, this woman is in the driveway and she's beating up her boyfriend. Her name's Alicia. She's 34, she's from Wisconsin. She's military police officer. Now, Alicia has a boyfriend. It's called that morning, yes, they get into a fight, and Alicia starts to get violent. And he's in the driveway, and she picks up some rocks, and she sticks them between her fingers like they're brass knuckles.
Oh, what the hell?
She starts trying to punch him. And I guess she also starts threatening to unalive his whole family. And this is allegedly not the first time she's threatened to do this. But here's the thing about Alicia. She's a mom of 3 little kids. And she and the 3 little kids are all living at boyfriend's house right now. But she's been acting nutty for so long, at this point, boyfriend, he's scared of her. So I guess after the fight, he low-key calls Lisa Lee's turds. So this girl is about to murder her best friend and get busted for it because of a selfie. Now the girl, her name's Cheyenne. She's 21, she lives in Saskatoon, and so this woman is about to pull off this crazy catfishing scheme by pretending to be a famous soap opera actor. Now her name's Lydia, and she's around 21 years old. She lives in, this guy, he has a big problem. His wife pooped on him. Let me explain. Now, the guy, his name's Richard, and he lives in London, he works in IT, and he's a really nice guy. And one night, he's out at a nightclub, probably drinking, dancing, having a good time, and that is when he meets this woman, Cherie. And Richard thinks Cherie is fine, and Cherie thinks he is fine. So they hit it off, and pretty soon they start dating, and they get into a relationship, and things are going great. They seem really happy. Until... Here's the thing about Cherie. Cherie likes to drink a lot. And when she drinks, she gets aggressive, especially with Richard. And so they fight. And sometimes when they fight, she gets out of control and she ends up getting physical with him. Like, she'll push him or slap him, and he's allegedly not the kind of guy who fights back. So he just takes it. And to make it worse, he's not about to admit to anyone that his girlfriend beats him up. That's embarrassing. So Cherie's occasional drunken abuse continues. And 9 years pass. And Richard and Cherie, they end up getting married. But marriage doesn't stop the abuse. In fact, over the years, it actually gets worse and more frequent. Oh, and the abuse is not just physical. She verbally abuses him too. Like, he'll forget to do something like put chicken in the oven for dinner, and she'll just lay into him, berating him, calling him all kinds of awful names. She'll also make offhand comments about his mother who passed away, which is just terrible. Not only that, when they start trying to have a kid, I guess they have to do it through IVF, and Cherie doesn't like that they have to do it through IVF. So she starts accusing Richard of being defective, of not being a real man, and that he's a failure because he's unable to get her pregnant. Just all kinds of awful stuff. Now, eventually, Richard does get her pregnant, and they do have a kid. So, to keep track of their kid in the house, Richard ends up installing nanny cams in the bedroom and in the kids' playroom. And these nanny cams are going to end up being important. So, more years pass, and the abuse continues to get worse. And Richard and Cherie, they have 2 more kids, so 3 daughters total. And over time, Cherie's drinking, unfortunately, gets more and more out of control. Sometimes she's consuming like 3 bottles of wine a day. And the more she drinks, the meaner she gets. Like, she's constantly calling Richard names, and sometimes she'll hit him, or she'll bite him, or she'll stab him with a fork, or she'll smash eggs on him. And like, one time she gets so mad that she smashes an empty wine bottle over his head. And he's lying on the floor in pain, and she just like kicks him in the ear. Like, it's really bad. And poor Richard, he still doesn't want to tell anyone that his wife is abusive. I guess he's still ashamed that she beats him up, or maybe he just doesn't want to get her in trouble. Not only that, she very openly threatens to tell everyone that he is the abuser. And in these domestic abuse situations, men usually are the abuser, so people are more likely to believe her story over his. Sometimes she even threatens to go to the police and tell them he's the abuser. Sometimes she tries to get his daughters to tell people that he's abusive to them and her. It is wild. So not only does Richard not tell anyone, he goes to great lengths to cover it up. Like, sometimes she'll hit him and he'll get bruises or injuries on his face, and he'll just cover up those marks with makeup so that people don't notice and start asking a bunch of questions. And so anyway, the abuse continues, and he just lets her punish him, verbally, physically, emotionally. Now, at some point during all this, Richard gets sick, and he starts documenting his injuries. He's taking photos of the marks she leaves on him. Here's an example of a photo he took, but I actually have to blur out the bruises because this platform won't let me show injuries from domestic abuse. It's understandable. But the picture shows his arm is all messed up, and there are a bunch of photos like this. So anyway, he gets smart and he starts documenting the abuse, taking photographs, making audio recordings, saving the nanny cam footage that catches them fighting. And one time, Cherie gets so drunk and out of control, they start fighting. And she goes to the kitchen and gets a kitchen knife, and she threatens him with it. And the nanny cam, it catches all of this on video. It is a little violent, but I can actually show you a screenshot of it. Richard appears to be huddled on the arm of the couch here, and you can see that she is holding the knife. But anyway, this is caught on nanny cam. So Richard downloads it, and he adds it to his collection of photos and audio clips. Now, here's where things get really out of control. One time, they get in a fight, and she doesn't want him sitting on the bed because I guess it's her bed. I guess she paid for it with her credit card or something. I don't know. But she doesn't want him sitting on it. So he's like, all right, and he goes and sits on the floor. And while he's sitting on the floor, Cherie comes over and she poops on him. Like, she literally poops on him. Now, I don't know the specifics or why he wasn't able to move out of the way. It seems like that would be a very slow thing. I don't know, but she poops on him. And then she expects him to clean it up. And I guess at that time, Richard is recording this fight, so he gets some audio of it. Alright, so you get the point. She's super abusive to the point where she's pooping on him. And at this time, they're 20 years into this relationship. He's 47 now. She's 46. Imagine a 46-year-old adult pooping on you. In fact, I can't get over this. How did that even happen? Could he not move out of the way? Was she holding him down and then she pooped on him? Did he fall asleep and then she snuck up on him and dropped the deuce? Did she poop in her hand and then throw it at him? Did she then use his t-shirt to wipe herself? I need to know how this went down or I won't be able to sleep tonight. Anyway, after 20 years of this chaos, Richard is just broken. He wants it to stop. And that is when Cherie finally makes a huge mistake. She gets a friend involved. So one day, they're arguing, and I guess she's drunk because she's always drunk. And in the middle of the fight, she picks up her phone and she calls Richard's friend and she starts playing victim. She's like, I'm scared Richard is gonna hurt me. And so the friend comes over to help mediate the fight or whatever. But as soon as friend gets Richard alone with him, Richard finally breaks down and tells him everything. Everything he's been through for the past 20 years. That he is not the abuser. That his wife has been an abusive psychopath this whole time. That she pooped on him. And that he's even been trying to document some of this behavior. And then he shows his friends some of that nanny cam footage he had saved. And friend sees the footage and he's like, oh snap, you ain't lying. So when friend leaves, he immediately goes to police and he reports Cherie as a domestic abuser. And pretty quickly, boom, police show up to their house to do a welfare check. And they get there, and Cherie's all drunk, and so, bam, they arrest her. Here's her mugshot. And Richard, he cooperates with police, and he hands over 43 photos of his injuries that he had taken over the years, along with audio clips he got, and most importantly, all that nanny cam footage of Cherie abusing him. And when police questioned Cherie about all this, she of course tried to blame it all on him, like, oh, but I'm the victim here. But they already have plenty of evidence that says otherwise. So ultimately, she pleads guilty to all this, and she gets sentenced to 4 years. Bro is about to get his whole family in trouble. One day, this guy is me, and I'm being threatened with a lawsuit. So this influencer is about to get unalived by her own fan. Now the influencer, her name's Christina, and Christina loves to sing. And one day, when she's about 15, her friend convinces her to post a video of her singing a cover.
Oh shoot. Okay. Oh! That was fire. That was so cool, dude. I'm not gonna lie. That was freaking dope. Wow.
Hannah Montana song on YouTube. So she does. And to Christina's surprise, pretty quickly the video gets a little traction. Tens of thousands of views. Not bad. But most importantly, people like it. And they like her. And some of these people, they start sending her requests for her to cover other songs. And so she does. She posts another and then another. And soon she's posting all these cover songs on YouTube. And she starts building up a decent following. And after about 2 months of this, her followers request that she cover Celine Dion's My Heart Will Go On. And so Christina does. And she posts it, and it blows the fuck up. And that is when this woman sees it. Her name's Mandy. And Mandy's like, damn, this girl can sing. Here's the thing about Mandy, though. Mandy just happens to be Selena Gomez's mom and her manager. So Selena Gomez's mom and her stepdad, this guy, at this time, they both managed Selena together. So stepdad, aka Selena's manager, reaches out to Christina and they offer to represent her, and soon Christina's got a manager. So then she works with a big vocal coach and she releases an EP, and then boom, Selena Gomez asks her to go on tour with her as her opening act. And they actually become really good friends.
And there's Selena Gomez right there. There's Selena.
And so Christina's star just keeps rising. YouTube channel's blowing up. She's getting all kinds of subscribers. And she wins a YouTube singing competition. And she and her family move out to Los Angeles so she can pursue making music full time. And she goes ahead and makes a full-length album. But then, she's around 19 years old at this point. She auditions for The Voice, the television show. And she gets cast in the show, and Christina comes out on stage, and she absolutely nails it. And she's clearly the fan favorite, and she comes in 3rd place overall, which is just amazing. A few years after that, she's like 22 at this point, she goes out on tour again.
And big thank you to everyone that has been coming out on tour to come see me.
Okay, let me stop you right here, because we'll come back to Christina. But now we gotta talk about this guy, Kevin James. Kevin James is 27, he's from Florida.